You know, when we look back at history, we tend to remember figures for their power or their strategy or just their sheer bravery. But it's pretty rare to find a leader who is remembered, above all else, for their justice and their mercy. So today, we're going to talk about one such leader, Salahuddin Ayyubi.
Now get this. This wasn't a nickname from his friends or his own people. This title, the King of Mercy, came from his adversaries, the very crusaders he was fighting against. I mean, what kind of man earns that level of respect from the people he defeated on the battlefield? Let's find out.
And the whole story, really, it all pivots on this one crucial year, 1187. This wasn't just another date in the Crusades. No, this was the year a legend was truly forged. A year that would define Saladin's entire legacy.
On October 2nd, 1187, after 88 long years, Jerusalem was back under Muslim rule. But here's the thing. The victory itself isn't even the most amazing part of the story. It's how he did it.
And this is where it gets really incredible. Look at the stark contrast. When the Crusaders first took Jerusalem back in 1099, the history books say the streets literally ran with blood. It was a massacre. Salahuddin's conquest, it couldn't have been more different. He offered terms. He absolutely forbade any killing or looting and even granted safe passage to any civilian who wanted to leave. He had every opportunity for revenge, and he chose mercy instead.
So you've got to ask, right? Who was this guy? Where did this unbelievable sense of justice and, frankly, restraint come from? To really get the conqueror of 1187, we've got to rewind and go back to the beginning.
So how does someone become that kind of leader? Well, his character wasn't forged overnight in some battle. It was built piece by piece, on a long journey that took him from a small town called Tikrit all the way to the seat of power in Cairo. His rise to power was just meteoric. Born in 1137 to a devout Kurdish family, he got a solid education in both faith and military tactics, mostly from his uncle, the famous General Shirkuh. And his talent was so obvious that, get this, by the time he was just 31 years old, he was made Vizier of Egypt. That's basically the Prime Minister, one of the most powerful positions in the entire Muslim world.
But here's what's so interesting. Once he got that power, his first move wasn't to go out and conquer new lands. Nope. His first focus was on fixing things at home. He was playing the long game, with a much bigger vision in mind.
And this was his whole philosophy right here. Saladin understood that just having a big army wasn't going to cut it. He looked around and saw a Muslim world that was totally fragmented, full of rivalries. And he knew, deep down, that before he could even dream of taking back Jerusalem, he had to heal those divisions first. He had to bring everyone together. And he didn't just talk the talk, he walked the walk. He went to work, systematically getting rid of corruption in Egypt, restoring order, and crucially, uniting the powerful regions of Egypt and Syria. He built an army that wasn't just skilled, it was disciplined and driven by a shared faith. A force so effective that honestly, even Western historians were just blown away by his statesmanship.
Okay, so he's got this united front, he's got this incredible army, and now the stage is set for the big one, the Battle of Hattin. This was the showdown, the moment that would become the turning point for the entire Crusades and the key that would finally unlock the gates of Jerusalem.
His strategy here was just so simple but utterly brilliant. First, he tricked the massive Crusader army into marching across a dry, barren landscape in the middle of a blazing hot summer. Then, his forces swooped in and cut off their only access to water, the Sea of Galilee. So now you have this huge army, totally exhausted, dehydrated, and demoralized, and that's when he encircled them. It was a decisive, crushing victory, just an absolute masterclass in tactics. But you know, winning a battle is one thing. That's temporary. What really cemented Saladin's legacy, what makes us talk about him today, were the virtues he lived by. He was so much more than just a brilliant general.
I mean, just think about this for a second. The night he took back Jerusalem, probably the single greatest moment of his life, where was he? He was found on the ground, weeping in prayer, just overcome with humility. He was famous for his charity, always giving his wealth away. He was deeply religious, and his entire rule was defined by this core idea of justice and fairness for everyone.
And look, if there is one single fact that tells you everything you need to know about this man's priorities, it's this. When the Sultan of Egypt and Syria died, a man who controlled vast wealth and resources, he had almost nothing to his name. An old sword, a shield, and just a few coins. He had given it all away. His treasure wasn't gold, it was his deeds.
And that's how people remembered him. When he died in Damascus, his funeral wasn't just attended by Muslims. Christians and Jews came too. Think about that. People from all faiths, even those he had fought against, came to pay their respects to the man who had treated them with dignity, even in the middle of a war.
So, at the end of the day, his story really makes you think, doesn't it? What is the true measure of a victory? Maybe it's not about the land you conquer or the armies you defeat. Maybe, as Salahuddin's life shows us, true victory is measured in justice, in unity, and in the mercy you show others. Building a legacy so powerful that even your enemies have no choice but to respect you.